Ron, a great pleasure to welcome you to this webinar this afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us. Really pleased to have you here, and absolutely delighted to have you. What we want to do today over the next 20 minutes or so is just have a conversation, find out a bit more about your involvement in APEC, your involvement in the marathon. And looking behind you rather, I'm seeing quite a lot of medals there. Love to hear your story of how you got started in running marathons.
Sure. Well, first off, thanks for having me, Marcus. It's a pleasure to be here representing APEC. It was a wonderful experience running for your charity. And I've tried to give back and send a bunch of runners your way over the years. And they've all been very satisfied working with your team. So it's been a wonderful experience. Behind me is my running wall. If I move to one side, you can see my 6-star medal over there. And I guess probably the most fun part of that story of getting engaged with your team and Rowan and the APEC crew was in 2019. I had the chance to run all 6 marathon majors, and I had an obstacle. London wasn't there for me. As US runners that are fast like me, I'm fortunate enough to be fast. There is no time qualifiers for us, and I knew I needed a charity. So I did some due diligence. I heard some great things about APEC, and I said, hey, let me see if I can get connected with this group and it'll solve my issue and I'll be able to run all 6. So forever be grateful for that, to wear the jersey, represent and be part of the crew. It let me be one of 7 people in the world to do them all in the same calendar year.
That's a remarkable achievement. So which of the other 5 that you did?
Well, it starts with Tokyo. So it's Tokyo first, Boston is second, and London is 13 days right after. Then we get a nice little break, and then it goes Berlin, Chicago, New York. The last 3 are in 35 days. The first 3 were in 48 days. So a lot of air miles, which helped get me the United 1K, baby. And just an adventure of a lifetime, meeting great runners from all around the world, just connecting with so many people and making it the adventure of a lifetime.
Excellent. Really pleased to hear that, Ron. And you said earlier you're pretty fast. I mean, how fast are you?
To give the audience an idea, that year, I actually have this fun little gizmo. A friend of mine got this made for me. It's this little miniature. I don't know if you can see it on the screen there.
Yeah, you can see that beautifully.
Tilted at the right angle. So in Tokyo, I ran 3:17:12. In Boston, I ran 3:13:57. In London, just 13 days after Boston, I ran 3:16:49. Wearing the APEC jersey. Berlin was 3:15:14, Chicago 3:16:34, and New York 3:17:02. So it ended up being 3:15 something, 3:15 and a few seconds change average for all 6. And I'm proud because they were never more than a minute apart, despite all the mileage flown and of course the amount of miles on the old legs too at 58 years old at that point.
I was going to say that's pretty remarkably close with each of those times. So, and congratulations on that. And you said you've got a 6-star medal for that one as well. So how does that work?
Yeah. So the APEC majors, there's no time limit. So you don't have to do them in 1 year as I did. I was just a miracle that I was able to work it out with work scheduling and life scheduling to be able to pull that off. But I've heard runners that have taken as much as 10 or 12 years to finish them. You know, they started the journey. Usually most people start where they live local. So a London runner might get their first one there, and a New York runner in New York, or a Boston runner or Berlin, wherever. So no, there's no time limit. You just have to sign up with APEC, go on their website and register. And anytime you finish a major, your result will get published on their website. And as you get closer, they'll know, and actually do this really cool thing. If you get to 5, they'll do a drawing for you. Because we all know London is the hardest one to get into. Actually, I would say maybe Tokyo is harder now because they've canceled it for a couple of years now. So I think there's going to be a real backlog for anybody wanting to run Tokyo. But if you have 5 stars and you need 1, they do a drawing amongst runners that need 1 star to go, and they give somebody a race entry, which is kind of fun. But yeah, it's a lifelong thing for people, and a wonderful achievement and a super cool medal.
Excellent. Now, I want to talk specifically, if we can, about London and about the London experience. Somebody once said to me, it's like a 26-mile-long party where you're the guest of honor. What's it really like out there?
Oh, London is fabulous. It's by far and away my favorite international marathon. And I think the experiences we get, we're so blessed as runners. I mean, I grew up running in New York, which we call the 5 Borough Block Party. And by far the closest experience you get to that is London. And it might even be as good or better. It's just we all have our favorites, and we tend to have our favorites from where we grew up or that type of thing. But the thing that makes London like a lot like New York is the international cultural feel that you get as you run through these great different areas of the city and just see everything, from the Cutty Sark ship, of course, and all these other historic landmarks that you're seeing along the way. And the crowds are just super powerful, energized with you every step of the way. I mean, even as early as like Blackheath, people are shouting and yelling and really into it. They're out there singing and playing music and have got the signs going. And that energy is it's just something that I wish every runner would get a chance to experience. And London is just a first rate race in every possible way. And last year with COVID, for them to come back and have a full race just did so much for the running community. And I was able to be fortunate enough to run in the first World Age Group Championship Marathon, which was part of Abbott. It was part of the London race proper, but it was hosted by Abbott as well for athletes that are above 40 and up that have fast times around the world. And what an experience that was for us, to be part of the main race, just out there racing with everybody. But we had special bibs like the elites. You get a bib on the front and back. And so we would all come up on each other and give each other a shout out. But last year was something else. And of course, the year I ran with you all, I mean, that was amazing because I knew that it was going to be the key to getting all 6 in the same year. I would not have gotten to London any other way if I hadn't connected with APEC. So again, as I said, forever grateful.
We're absolutely thrilled that you did, Ron. And you're a fast runner. You've done a lot of racing. You've got a huge following. You've got a huge presence online for Ron Runs NYC on Instagram and things like that. Now, can we bring it back down a bit to those people who it's their first marathon, those people who are the fun runners, those people who are starting out, who have probably got a personal connection to action on preeclampsia or have got some other interest that's driven them to us? And what would be a couple of pieces of advice that you have for them?
Oh, I love to talk to the first time runners and try to have them on my podcast as well occasionally. So if you have a good guest, just keep that in mind. If you, Rowan, or anybody on the team has somebody that has a compelling story and it is their first and they're fearful or worried, I love to, not coach as far as advising, but just really more as mentally just give them things to think about. So I'll share, some things. I think people worry, I can't do this, or can I do this? Or a coach has written them out a workout plan, and you, I'm sure, have people advising them and giving these first timers coaching and workouts to hit. No matter how many you hit or don't hit during the cycle, there's a certain amount of magic that will come with race day. And there's no way to actually quantify what that magic is. People have never run in these conditions before. They've never seen so many people cheering and screaming for them and been out there where everybody seemingly will shout your name. And when you have a jersey on, like an APEC jersey or an American Cancer Society jersey or any other charity jersey, you're instantly going to be noticed more. So if your name is on there, which our singlets are from APEC, then they're going to yell your name as well. So they're going to be, go Marcus, come on, Marcus, don't die, Marcus, keep moving, Marcus. So that energy it's hard to quantify. And, being with a charity, being with an organization, you're going to have people out there on the course as well. So, if you can make it, think of it in like stages. Don't think of it as 42K. Don't think of it as 26.2 miles. Just think of it as get me to a section on the course, get me to the Cutty Sark ship. And, if you really are a first timer, man, stop and take it in, take some pictures, man, take some selfies at the Cutty Sark picture, at the boat. And, as you go on and you pass other landmarks that might be meaningful to you or important, take a few photos, take a video or two, because this is something to preserve. It's a memory of a lifetime. And, the further along you go, the closer you're getting. And, don't put the big number in mind. I'm 10 miles to go. I've only run 10. I have 16 more to go. It's the other way around. You have to focus on the short term. So, one step at a time, get to that next area, break the course up any way you can. And if you can have friends out there, like specifically besides like say the APEC supporters that will be there, maybe meet you at some meaningful points where you think you might struggle. If you think at 18 miles is going to be a real problem for you because that's the longest run you've ever done, have some friends at that point, or maybe have them a mile up the road. Maybe have somebody jog a little bit with you, to get your spirits up, or give you your favorite candy or something else, or whatever, chug a shot. I don't know, Marcus, whatever helps keep you moving, man, because you got to get it done.
Okay, that's absolutely fine. But let's talk about the food. Let's talk about race prep on race day. What's the Ron recipe for success when it comes to food and drink on race day?
Well, what's the saying? Do as I say, don't do as I do, or whatever, something like that. I'm not sure many of the runners want to follow my plan because I'm definitely having a little bit too much fun a lot of times the night or two before these majors because, look, I'm 61 and, my fastest times are behind me, although I'm very proud of the race times I'm still putting out. I'm not going to pass up the chance to have fun when I'm flying all the way around the world and meeting friends. I'm not going to pass up the chance to have some wine or a cocktail or two. And you know what? For me, it relaxes me and it helps me perform better, maybe even sleep a little bit better. I'm not advocating to go out and get hammered the night before for you first timers. I'm not sure that's going to be a good way to go. But, don't put yourself on some lockdown where you're so stressed out. You're probably not going to sleep the night, maybe even 2 nights before anyway. And don't worry about it. You're going to be fine. Once you get up race morning, the amount of adrenaline you'll have will be great. And as far as food, my advice is always simple. Eat the things that your body's used to eating, particularly as it gets a day or two closer. You want to go out and have some fun Thai spicy food or Indian food or other things that you really enjoy. Great. Just don't really do it the night before, because what if you have an experience where your stomach's just unagreeable and you wake up the next morning and you're really, you're adding that variable into the mix unnecessarily. So eat things that you're used to eating. And, definitely the last and most important thing to do is to stay hydrated the last couple of days before the race. You're going over to the Global Excel, Expo in London, which is a monstrous place. You're walking around on hard concrete all day. Make sure you bring a water jug with you and keep filling it up and just drink a lot of water, because you don't want to get dehydrated a day or two before a race.
Okay, we've had a question come in from Reese Flynn. Reese is one of our runners this year, and he wants to know about the grotty stuff, the tricky stuff, the bleeding nipples, the needing to go to the loo, the practical and nasty parts of the marathon. Come on, give us the warts and all.
Sure. Absolutely. Well, as far as bleeding nipples and, all kinds of body parts that can get chafed and ripped up, man, it can get ugly out there. And I don't know in the UK if it's as readily available, but I use something called Squirrel Nut Butter. I know you can get it on Amazon.com. Probably every famous ultra runner in the world uses it for a reason. They're just fantastic. They make them in these little, almost like underarm roller sized packets, from like a 2-ounce one that you could literally carry inside your shorts to the starting line and just rub it on the way you would put roll-on on under your arms, under the nipples, in your crotch areas, or any other areas that are going to get chafed up. And you don't want to be taking a shower after running 42K with bleeding nipples or God knows any other hot body parts. So that's for sure. And as far as the bathroom, the loo, all that stuff, one thing about London, man, there are tons of portaloos or whatever you guys actually call them over there. But man, you will have no worries about, taking care of business in the morning before the race. And hey, if you have to stop on the course, I actually did this year. It's the first time in about 10 years I had to go. I got to the 10-mile mark and it was just like calling me like a homing device. And I just like ran off the road over there, jumped in there, handled my business, and got back out there. You lose a minute or so what? But it's far better than the alternative.
Absolutely. And Emma Solis has been in touch, and she says, how do you fuel yourself whilst you're running? What do you choose to do?
I use Morton gels for the most part, or Morton drinks when I happen to be at a home race like New York, where I actually have so many friends that are, spewed around the 5 boroughs of New York, where I can actually get a Morton bottle handed off to me and I can, pick a predetermined point. So I prefer the bottles in drinking, the way the leads do, Marcus. I just find that it's way easier to get fluids down than the gels. And Morton is one of those things, Kipchoge and all the greatest marathoners in the world and triathletes and ultra marathoners use it. It's kind of has a little bit of a funky taste. It's almost like kind of licking jelly, if you will. It doesn't have any of those other flavors like goo and all the other ones do. It's simple. The thing that makes Morton great is you don't need a cup of water with their gel. So you can have a gel without water. Most of the other gels, if you took a gel without water, it just wouldn't go well. You know, it might even get clogged up in your throat and start you to cause coughing issues. But I'm actually pretty good with using regular goo or other types of, gels that might be out there. I know in London, trying to think what you guys use. It's not Powerade. It's loose. What's the word? It's L. It's the one with the L. Oh gosh, I'm forgetting it now.
You're thinking about Lucozade?
Yes, Lucozade. Yes.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's your, replenishment drink that's on the course. Fine. Don't mind drinking that at all. So worst case scenario, I'm willing to work with what's on the course. If for some reason I had gels in my little pocket and a couple of them fall out along the way, the important thing is whatever you've been using is what you really want to use on race day. So if you've been practicing with X brand, stick with that X brand. But if you have been practicing with it and a couple of them drop out, because these are things that happen, real life experiences, don't sweat it. I mean, the worst thing, just take a gel off the table, give it a try, get some of it down, get half of it down, grab a couple of drinks of the Lucozade, and you'll get some carbs in, because it's important to keep getting some fuel in as you progress.
Excellent, thank you. And Rowan is really sorry she can't be with us this afternoon. She's got some family stuff she's got going on, but she did want to know, how do you avoid injury? What is your go-to breakfast on marathon day?
So we'll start at breakfast. I try to keep that simple. Usually some sort of instant oatmeal that I can travel with me, because I have celiac. So for any of the APEC team that have food allergy issues, it's not easy. So I feel you. I know what it's like as a celiac person. I got to really be aware of, where am I eating? Is there Whole Foods in the area where I can buy some local things and bring up to my hotel room? Or does my hotel offer me some gluten-free menu options? But morning of, I'll tend to stick with either, a gluten-free oatmeal and maybe throw a little fresh fruit, some blueberries or bananas in there. I'm going to have coffee, of course. And, that's pretty much what I'm going to have like a race morning. And as far as injuries, I've been remarkably blessed to be doing this for 30 years. And, sure, I've had my share of, little, calf strains and hamstring strains and little ligament and tendon things that have never really kept me out more than a day or two at a time. But I did a 60-mile charity run for my 60th birthday for someone, and took a hard fall a couple of days before the run. And I smashed my knee and cracked it. And it got really swollen, but I was like, I got to do this charity run. I got to raise money for this famous runner, Tommy Rivers Puzzi. He's the guy in the black and white photos directly above me, Rowan. He's a famous marathoner who was stricken with a rare cancer. And so I did the run and ended up finding out I ran 60 miles on a stress fractured knee. So that was the only and the first real major injury of my running career of 30 years. And it put me out 4 months, but I've come back, strong since then. I did London, Boston, and New York last year, and then the JFK 50 miler in the fall. So this Boston is coming up in, I think, 18 days or so. So I'll be back out there. And London is still maybe. It's still a maybe, because I haven't heard on the World Championships yet whether I've qualified. And, I'm in Berlin, and I am running Chicago and New York. So we'll see. We'll see. I would love to see you guys again and be over there with you all. So we'll see about London.
Well, we'd absolutely love to have you. And Ron, there's always a place with your name on it, waiting for you. And Ron, we said we'd chat for about 20 minutes, and we've come to the end of our time. So I just want to say, on behalf of APEC, thank you so much for all your fundraising, all your support, all your kind words, everything that you've done for us. It's so appreciated. And thank you for giving your time up today, for your great advice. And I think there's a couple of runners that we'll put in touch with you for the podcast as well. So Ron, thank you very much. Have a fantastic day in New York. Have you got a race? Have you got a run lined up for today?
Yeah, just a couple of, maybe like a 6-8 miler, easy run with friends in Central Park, just social. A chill out run. Tomorrow night's a hard workout, and, maybe Saturday or Sunday will be one of the last kind of key mid-range runs with some pace in it to get ready for Boston. And then after that, just kind of like wind it down, get ready. And if anybody from APEC is running Boston, hit me up, man. Send me a message. Let me know you're going to be over there. I'll meet you in Boston and share a couple of miles and say hello.
That would be fantastic. It's Ron Runs NYC on social media. We're APEC-UK, so please follow us there. And Ron, thank you very much for your time again today.
Oh, it's been great. Thanks so much for having me on, Marcus. My best to everybody with APEC, and good luck to all the runners training. You're going to get it done. So stay positive.